Hi everybody, it's Lydia here. Today is the 1st of September and that can only mean two things. One, we are off to Hogwarts, oh yes, and two, it's time for the August book haul, so let's get started. So I'm going to start off with the two books that I have mentioned in previous videos, and those are Shades of Milk and Honey by Mary Robinette Kowell. You can watch my review of this in my About of Books wrap up by clicking here. The second book I have already mentioned in a previous video is The Anti-Pope by Robert Rankin. Now I was meant to read this for About of Books and I didn't get round to it, so it's still on my TBR, but I will get round to it at some point, I promise. It is a kind of comic surrealist novel about kind of defeating the powers of darkness, similar kind of vein as Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett's Good Omens, which is how I came round to find it because it was recommended to me by Goodreads. So I'm looking forward to reading this. It was published quite a while ago in 1991, so it's not a recent book by any means, but still I'm sure it's going to be really good, and it's got really good reviews, so I'm looking forward to reading that. Now the third book in this book haul is Perfect by Rachel Joyce, and this is a historical fiction, and it's kind of a sliding doors idea. It's basically about a boy named Byron and how his life changes suddenly in 1972, and it's because they've added 2 seconds onto time to kind of align it with the Earth's movement, as it were. And it's set both in 1972 with Byron and in the present day with a guy named Jim, and it's basically about how these 2 seconds have dramatically changed their lives. It sounds really interesting. I'm really kind of interested in that whole sliding doors idea. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. The next book is Angel Fall by Coleman Luck, and this is basically about a group of young people who are survivors in a plane crash, and they are the only survivors, and when they come to land they find that they are no longer on Earth, but they are instead on a world called Boreth, I think that's how you say it. And this world is kind of populated by evil and monsters and demons and everything. And it's basically about how they had to survive, I think. So that's what I've got from the blurb anyway. But one of my favourite things about this book is actually the cover. I love this whole kind of heaven hell thing, but I love that the hell is at the top, because I think that's, you know, total contrast to obviously what is normally the case, and it just sounds really interesting. And yeah, I have nothing else to say about that. It just looks really cool. I'm really looking forward to reading it. So the 5th book in this book haul is The Maze Runner by James Dashner. Now I know a lot of you have probably already read this. This is actually a book that kind of I've been meaning to read for a while, and I kept waiting for it to come into the library, and eventually I was like, it's not going to come, everyone keeps reserving it and I'm never going to get it, so I decided to, you know, bite the bullet and actually buy it myself. And this is a kind of young adult dystopia, and it's basically about a boy called Thomas who wakes up in a lift, and he's had his memory wiped along with the other boys in this lift, and they find themselves in this ever-changing maze and they've got to find their way out. I think that's the gist of it. There's probably a lot more to it than that, but anyway, I'm really looking forward to reading this. It's really exciting, and I love dystopian fantasy novels, so yeah, that's going to be fun. Maze Runner. The next book is actually a book I won in the first reads on Goodreads, and this is Fear Itself by S.M.R. Cooper. This is a young adult fantasy, and it's about a guy named Trevor who disappears after casting this spell, and the spell causes these monsters to go after his friends, and these monsters are taking the shape of their worst fears. That's the title. And it's about Trevor's sister, who realises that he has opened this door to this alternative world, and all these monsters are coming through, and you know, it's all about, you know, women cleaning after men, I think. But no, I'm really looking forward to reading this actually. It sounds really interesting, and I think it's an independently published book, which are always really exciting because you never get to hear about them otherwise. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this, and I will review back too. The next book is The Goddess Test by Amy Carter, and this is kind of set around Greek gods and goddesses, and it's basically about this girl called Kate, and her mother is fatally ill, and she meets this guy called Henry who claims to be the god of the underworld, Hades, and he tells her that he will heal her mother if she completes 7 tests for him. And it just sounds really interesting, and I'm a bit obsessed with kind of Greek gods and goddesses and that whole kind of classical civilization thing, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. I think it's the first in the Goddess Test series, so hopefully it's good, because it sounds really good, and I've heard a lot of good reviews, to be fair, so yeah, looking forward to reading this. The final 2 books in this book haul are actually part of the same series, and they are The Rosie Project and The Rosie Effect by Graham Simpson. Now, this one actually isn't out yet until the 25th of September. I won this in a first read, which is why I have a copy, but it's basically a contemporary romance, and it's about a guy named Don who has really struggled with finding a partner. He hasn't had a second date ever, and he comes up with this idea called the Wife Project, and he's very kind of scientifically minded. There are all sorts of reasons for this that come up in the book, and it's basically about how he comes up with this idea where he's going to create like an algorithm to find the perfect wife, basically. But this all kind of goes out of the window when he meets Rosie, who is what he believes to be his perfect wife, but she is currently kind of focused on finding her father, so he changes his project to the Father Project, and that's as far as I've got, so I can't tell you anymore. But yeah, I'm in the middle of this. I'm not normally like a massive contemporary romance fan, gonna admit. Like, I used to read a lot of this kind of genre when I was a few years younger. Nowadays I don't, but it's well written, and I'm enjoying kind of seeing where it's going, and yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this, and I will let you know. I will have a review of both of these in the next couple of weeks before this one comes out, so you can, get a heads up. So that is my August book haul. I hope you enjoyed it. I've actually got a couple of other books last month that I haven't mentioned here, and the reason for that is one of them is The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson, and I've done a full video review of that, which you can watch here if you click now. And I also have a couple of other books which are kind of focused around the same theme, which I'm going to be putting in a video in the next few weeks, sometime this month. And I just didn't really want to spoil them, because yeah, it kind of would ruin the whole idea of the video that I'm going to do. So I hope that's intrigued you enough, and you'll now, subscribe and wait to see that. It's completely different to the other videos I've been doing and I'm planning on doing, but it's something I've wanted to do for a little while. So keep your eye out on my channel for that, and I think that's it. So I will see you all soon. Bye!